So, Dad, let me start by thanking you for taking some time from your work day. This is a day that we're both in our uniforms, so that's kind of fun and amusing in its own way.
I like your uniform red suspenders.
Well, thank you. And just so you know, heck, got the red socks
Red
too.
socks too, okay.
So anyway, let me start with a happy Father's Day. I'm really glad that you're able to join me on Zoom. And this is an interview for folks at church to watch.
All right.
Just a little bit of extra stuff for the children's message. And I know we're a little pressed for time, so let me just get right into some questions for you. You know, I'm thinking about when my son was born 25 years ago and how I was able to be right there in the delivery room. And I'm wondering, what was it like for you when I was born? Were you able to be present?
Well, first of all, you made it difficult from the very beginning because your mother was in the hospital for 24 hours before she even had you. And they had to do it in an operation rather than normal childbirth. So obviously I couldn't be in the surgical room with them. But back then, fathers did not get to attend births. They sat out in the waiting room and waited for the doctor to come tell them that the baby had come. I think we probably went to the nursery after a little while and looked through the window to see you. And after a while, I finally got to get in to see you and your mother together. Back then, fathers weren't allowed in the delivery room at all.
So was that back in the era when it was traditional to hand out cigars? Or did I just miss that?
No, they still did it. I don't know whether I did or not. It was a tradition, yes.
And of course, these days, we don't even get close to that. So next question. Are there things that you did when you were a child that helped you be a good father when you grew up?
Well, I had a dog for a long time. Initially, I didn't think that the answer to the question would be yes, but I did babysit some. Not, didn't consider myself a babysitter, but, I did have some people who had boys in particular that wanted a guy to babysit.
Okay.
So I did do that a little bit, but not a whole lot.
So you got to practice some childcare. You got to take care of a dog. You were taking care of living things.
Yep.
Okay. So when I was a kid, Dr. Benjamin Spock's book, The Common Sense Book of Baby and Child Care, was popular. Did you have a book or something else that helped inform your parenting?
Dr. Spock had been around for a good while before you were even born.
Mm-hmm.
And I think most parents either swore by him or swore at him, one or the other. I think we read the book and ignored most of it.
Okay.
Because he was kind of controversial. Not everybody agreed with what he had to say. But, some things were good, some things were bad.
Okay. And obviously, you had parents growing up, and in particular a father. How does your style of parenting differ from your own dad's?
Well, I didn't have a real good relationship with my dad. Main thing I remember about my dad is going to the airport on Friday night or Saturday morning to pick him up coming back from a business trip, or Sunday or Monday taking him to the airport for a business trip. But I didn't see a whole lot of him. Basically, he was the disciplinarian on the weekend.
Mm.
And I don't remember doing a whole lot of things with my dad. I remember a few things we did, but not on a routine basis. And my older sister has a totally different memory. And I don't know whether that's because she was a girl or whether it's because she came along earlier in his career where he maybe didn't do as much traveling as he did later on. One of the sad things about my father is the night before he died, I saw him. And I don't even remember what it was over, but we got into an argument.
Mm.
And I left. And that was the last experience with my father.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
Unfortunately, it wasn't an untypical experience.
So So your style as a dad is very different
I
from
hope
what you
so.
experienced.
I hope so.
I remember a lot of the things you used to do with Greg and me. The YMCA Indian guides, taking us to bowling, um, 4-H stuff. Being their marching band. You were always there for things. And
Yeah.
I know that with your various deployments that you had, sometimes that was hard to be there. But when you were away for 2 or 3 months for training and that kind of thing.
Well, I promised myself early on that I was not going to take a job that required a lot of travel. And, probably cost me in my career, but it was something that I thought was worth the risk.
Oh, thank you. That made a difference to us.
Yeah, I hope so.
So you had 2 boys and also 3 foster girls who came and lived with our family. What was it that made you decide to help raise children from other families?
Well, initially it was your mother's idea, but it was something that in the long run, I'm glad we did it because, there were girls that basically had no families. They didn't know where their parents were. The 2 older ones had been placed by aunts or grandmothers or other extended family that just didn't want to raise them. And they just needed a family. They didn't need a placement, they needed a family. And we tried to give them that. Everything that you got in life, they got while they were with us. The youngest one, actually, her mother was in domestic difficulties and placed her with the specific request that you be placed with us. And I don't know if you remember or not, but later on, her mother even came to live with us. So we were trying to provide them a family, not just someplace to live and to be safe.
Well, and I remember that I think it was one Christmas or one Thanksgiving morning, waking up to find some National Guard soldiers asleep on the floor in my bedroom.
No, they weren't National Guard. Actually, they'd come up from Fort Lee. They were away from home, and they had a program where they tried to put soldiers into homes for the holidays.
Mm-hmm. But I remember that surprise because they came in after I'd gone to sleep.
I didn't remember that they had done that. But
They bedded down quietly. But I think you and Mom always tried to make our home a place that was welcoming of other people. And
they're always welcoming of your friends, especially because while you were in college, your friends were there a lot.
Yeah, I had a lot of folks.
One thing though with the foster kids, especially with the oldest one, when she left our house, she did not leave our family. We still took care of her for a good while, even though she wasn't placed in our family. We kept track of her, met her husband, met her kids before. And I don't know if I ever told you or not, but after I moved to Fredericksburg, I got a call one day just out of the blue. And the first thing I heard was, "Dad, I need to talk to you."
Wow. No, I had no idea.
And she was having some problems and needed some parental advice and so forth. And
so even all those years
I don't even know how she got the number because it was a totally different number than I'd had before. So that was, years after she had left the house.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think is the hardest part about being a father?
Letting go.
Mm.
And, in our case, you're in Connecticut, Greg's in Washington and British Columbia. Jen's getting ready to move to Florida, I think. And it's, I'm starting to feel like a hub with half the spokes missing. But, it's rewarding to watch you grow up and develop your own lives and your own families and so forth. But it's hard with everybody spread all over the place. Not seeing them, not seeing the grandkids.
And what do you like best about being a dad?
I think, again, just watching you grow up and become responsible adults, good lives of their own, good families of their own. I'm proud of all of you.
And you've watched the generations move along, and not just as a father, but as a grandfather and now a great-grandfather. What's that like?
It doesn't seem like it's been that long. My body's starting to tell me I'm getting old, but it doesn't seem like I'm that much older than you are. But, especially with the grandkids, they're small, you don't see them very much, and all of a sudden they're teenagers or married with kids of their own.
Happens fast.
It does happen fast.
So are there particular values that you wanted to model and pass on to your kids and to future generations?
I think just to have have kids who are responsible for what they do. Only had one ever get me in any trouble growing up.
That was me.
And that wasn't getting in trouble. It was a stupid mistake.
Mm-hmm. It turned out okay.
Yet it turned out okay. In fact, I think it taught you a lesson. But, just seeing you grow up and become responsible individuals and have your own families and seeing what you're doing with your lives and for the world.
Okay. And is there anything that you would like to tell the children or the fathers at church? Any advice you'd like to give?
I think the best parenting advice I can give is to just love your kids, and let them know you love them. And I think whatever shortcomings you have, that is going to make up for it.
Mm. And I've got one last question, and I know you need to get back to work. But often parents say that they love all of their children equally, though sometimes differently. Isn't it true, though, that you love me best?
Your brother would probably say that. But you'd probably say, I love your brother best.
Yeah. No, I think we both know that you love us.
I'll tell you, I love all three of my kids the same.
Mm-hmm. Including Jen, who is not from my family unit, but came along later.
Right.
So, well, Dad, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation with me. It's really great to talk to you. I love you dearly. I wish you a happy Father's Day. And yeah, again, I'm watching the clock in the bottom of my screen, and you're supposed to be back at work in about 45 seconds.
Okay.
So thank you again, and I love you very much, Dad.
I love you too. Bye.
All right, and I'll talk to you later.
All right, bye.